Welcome to the Lancaster City Council meeting. City Clerk.
City Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Members Molly, Mann,
Present.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Christ,
Present.
Mayor Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Move to excuse Council Member Raj Jamali.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous. Tonight the invocation is with Pastor Chris Johnson from Grace Chapel.
Thank you for the privilege of praying and for just giving the opportunity to do this meeting after meeting and for your service to our community. Let me pray. Father in heaven, thank you for being such a kind and a gracious and a merciful God and generous with us. And thank you for your generosity toward us in this city. Thank you for our leaders, both our council and our staff that are here. I pray your blessing on them personally. I pray that you would continue to give them the energy to do the work that you've given them to do. Father, I pray your blessing on our city. Thank you for Lancaster. We are grateful to live in this place, and I pray for your wisdom and your direction in this meeting tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Please stand. Place your hand over your heart. And repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, you have a couple presentations.
Good afternoon and good evening. As you guys know, we've been honoring a couple of employees or a number of employees for years of service. This is always a fun time for me because we can only get to share their successes, but the giving they've done to this community. So our first one we're going to acknowledge has been working with us for 30 years. So if I can ask Roy Kellogg to come on up. And he's got look at this. He's one of our building inspectors. He doesn't look like this all the time. And public works inspectors. But you can imagine 30 years of service to this community is admirable and amazing. And what Roy does is he inspects the public infrastructure you see as well as the buildings and houses we all live in. So if you can picture 30 years of service doing that, I can imagine he drives around the community. And I'm sure his wife and family goes crazy looking at, oh, that curb and gutter, either that's perfectly done and it's lasted 30 years, or it's the alternate, right? The tree broke it up or a car ran over it or something happened there. So you can imagine into his work. He also puts it into his family, 35 years married. He's involved in the Boy Scouts and giving back to the community. And as with every employee here, they're not just public servants in what they do every day. They're also public servants in their private life. So I just want to thank you and honor you for 30 years of service. We appreciate it, and I know the City Council does. So thank you very much. And the next person is special to me, too. When I first started here, she was my assistant. So we've had the opportunity to watch her grow, not only from being assistant, but now she's managing and leading LCE, which is a story we're going to be telling later, what is basically one of our largest revenue-generating entities of the city. And Kathy Wells is managing that and in charge of that. So if you can come on up, Kathy. Rex likes to say often is that when we started, we didn't have any clue what energy was, right? And now you're looking at one of the experts in the state. People ask her to come speak. She does seminars. She teaches people to do what she does. And she's done it not only by her hard work, but her passion for what she does. And I add to that her passion for her family, her husband Michael, Jason, and son Michael, who are you'll probably see on the local stage. So as with Roy and as with our employees, Kathy's a giver. So you've probably seen her on our local stages, as well as her family. She gives to the community and continues to give. But it's just an honor tonight, and we think you're so great. Thank you. Yours is smaller than Roy's. 10 years from now, keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager, anything to be removed? Consent calendar, any speaker cards?
Not on the consent count. We do have one on CCEA CC2.
Oh, I see. It's California Choice Energy consent calendar, right?
I have.
Okay, so is there a motion about CC2?
We're going to pull CC2?
Yes.
Motion to approve CCEA CC1
I'll second. 3? Oh,
and 3.
thank you. And I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Passes. Leaves.
Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I'm up here tonight because I think that our energy policies merit more discussion. For example, in the handout here for the agenda, it says as more cities join CalChoice, each city's share of costs goes down. I'd like to see that in a graph. I'd like to see further discussion, and also further discussion of the Clean Energy Act by the state. It's very pertinent right now because we have one of the major energy companies in the state filing for bankruptcy. Another item we could discuss in a forum is the banning of natural gas by some of the cities in the north. So these need to be discussed because the citizens need to know how they're going to be impacted by the state rules and regulations in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve CCEA CC2.
I'll second that.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, CCEA New Business 1. Any speaker cards?
No speaker cards.
You want to waive? Wait a minute. What is this?
So,
You want to waive the?
yes.
Let's waive it. Okay.
I'll move we approve CCEA NB1, A, B, and C.
I'll second.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. CCEA NB2. Speaker cards?
No speaker cards.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, so we don't need to hear the staff report. It's not a public hearing.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve CCEA NB1, A, B, and C.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. Council actions. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve M1.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. Consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, can I get a new vote on CCEA NB2? The motion was made to approve CCEA and NB1 again, as opposed to CCEA NB2. So I want
We
to
get
make sure.
so confused with those numbers.
I know, so many letters.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we have a motion?
Motion to approve CCEA NB2.
Yes.
Is there a second?
A,
Yes,
B,
thank
and
you.
C.
A, B, and C. Thank you.
And I'll second.
Vote. And the vote stays the same. Passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Okay, consent calendar. Anything?
We need to remove CC 7.
Is there a motion for the rest of it?
Motion to approve the consent calendar is currently comprised, pulling CC 7.
I'll second.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. CC 7, Mr. Reeves.
Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, this is a 3-year professional services agreement for the removal of debris in an earthquake or a flood, a landslide, and so forth. I don't know if it falls under the category, but we need to have some of the flood control channels in this city cleaned out. For example, at J8 and 15th Street West, there's over, and I think that's a pattern throughout the city. That's a man-made disaster waiting to happen. I don't know if you could ask this company to, as a test before you approve this contract, if they can clean the flood control channels in this city to help us out before the rains come. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve CC 7.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. Number 1. Speaker card?
Yes.
Public hearing.
Open the public hearing.
Open the public hearing. Mr. Hogan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to have Bruce Katz make a quick presentation. He's our Senior Utilities Manager. He is responsible for a lot of things, maintaining 429 miles of sewer, 9,000 sewer manholes, recycled water lines up to 8 miles, 9 miles, and also all the drainage basins.
But is he going to give a riveting?
I was trying to hype him up for it.
First time I got to address you. Mayor Paris,
Good evening.
Vice Mayor Marquez, board members, and my esteemed colleagues. Thank you for bringing this item to the council today. We do have a short slide presentation. It's like 3 slides to talk about. Thank you. Actually, this should not be the presentation. It was basically 3 to 5 slides with a black background.
Bruce, I would just go ahead and make your presentation.
Okay, basically, really quickly, on the slide we were going to show is basically it showed some pictures of the different grease recovery devices that we use within all our FSCs, which are food establishments in the city. Today, with the fog ordinance, we've brought it in front of you to update the fog ordinance to basically there's 32 items that we were looking at updating, removing some redundancy. We were actually adding a couple items that would give our fog inspectors teeth out in the field when it comes to compliance with the updated fog ordinance, and also some removal and change titles within the fog ordinance. Just some very, very basic changes to bring us up to date. The fog ordinance was basically put into effect in 2009. It's now 2019, and we were looking to just do a quick update to clean it up. And that's basically what we were looking for tonight with your approval.
But we don't get the pictures?
I apologize that we have that slide presentation on my computer, so I have no idea how that got over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of sewer pictures. I don't know if you really wanted to see them anyways.
Yeah, it's some manholes with grease in it. It shows the difference between a grease interceptor and an actual grease trap, the 2 devices that we commonly see in our food establishments throughout the city.
I was doing the dishes this morning, and my wife... Excuse me. I think it is? No, I do the dishes in the morning. She cooks at night. Anyway, there's this, pan of grease, right? And as I'm putting it down the garbage disposal, I was wondering if I was doing something wrong. Was I?
Yes, you were. What we'd like to see in those cases is take some plain rags, paper towels, sop it up. And also take a container, if you have a grease container that you keep underneath the sink, whether it's a coffee can, some type of jar, you can pour it in there, it'll coagulate, and then when the jar's filled, you can just dispose of it in the trash.
So why is it a bad idea to put it down the garbage disposal?
What happens is that... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, man. I'm just saying, oh, man. That's why we have interceptors. Obviously, he probably doesn't generate that much, but that also causes the fees to rise for the sanitation district. So obviously, it creates a problem.
Would somebody tell me why I'm not supposed to do it?
So what happens
It does the same thing to the pipes as it does to your arteries.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a great
You might as well
analogy.
just inject it in. It does the same thing.
So what happens is as you pour it down your sewer line, it'll go down your lateral and it'll coagulate, and basically it occludes the opening of your sewer lateral. Over time, it'll shrink down, and eventually you'll have either a backup or a blockage. So, and then for us, if that ends up in the sewer main line, that increases the frequency that we have to send the crews out to do our sewer cleaning in the main lines.
And then ultimately, it ends up at
the treatment plant.
And we have to use more chemicals.
Correct.
To run it through the filtration process. Yep. And so it's today, the best place to put it is in the landfill.
And Bruce, maybe you could talk about your successes, number of SSOs, overflows, et cetera.
Sure. So in 2008, when the utility division was formed, when we took the sewer system over from the County of Los Angeles, there was approximately 14 overflows annually. Immediately, we reduced that number down to 5, and then within the next year, we held an average of about 3 for basically the last 3 years. We had a year with no SSO, what we call sanitary sewer overflow. That's where the sewage backs up out of the manhole, goes down the street, curb and gutter. I always knock wood when we start talking about success and numbers, because typically what happens when I start bragging about our success, we'll have an overflow. But we're well below. The state average runs right around 7 per year. And right now, again, we went 18 months with 0. We had 1. We're about 8 months presently without any SSOs. So the crews, kudos to my crew. They're doing a fantastic job. It all ties in together with the fog ordinance, along with some residential outreach as well.
Okay, so tell me about the wipes. What's the deal on that?
Okay, well, the wipes, although they say flushable on the container, what happens is they don't stay in the system long enough to break down and deteriorate. So by the time you flush it down the toilet, it ends up at the treatment plant, and at the treatment plant, it ends up ragging up the pumping system. In our lines, if we have any root intrusion, or when I talk about that occlusion with the grease, the rags get stuffed into that occluded area, and then we have a backup for the sanitary sewer overflow. So best to use them, throw them in the trash, and let them go to the landfill.
That doesn't seem right.
I know it does. There's an organization called SCAT, which is pushing really, really hard for legislation to take that language off the container, so that way people won't flush these down through the sewer system.
Well, are there any that are flushable?
Not that I'm aware of, that break down. Again, by the time you flush and it goes to the treatment plant, we're only talking hours. It's probably realistically more like 12 hours, and there's just not enough time for it to...
No, not
break
this
down.
day and age. The only way to get to it is chemically, because if it's got to be in the system for several days to weeks before it really disintegrates and breaks down. So all it does is just create more problems.
Yeah, and for the homeowners, to everybody here, again, that can end up in your lateral line and then cause problems for you inside the house and your residents as well. So it's best to just dispose of them in the trash.
Okay. I learned something.
You thought I was just a restaurant guy and I didn't know anything.
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't think you knew anything.
You guys did talk with both of our restaurant owners that are on the council to create this ordinance?
Yes, unfortunately, I was in training. I wasn't able to meet, but Jeff and our fog inspector, Ben Stewart, along with Jason, met, and they had a very good conversation and went through, answered any questions.
Yeah, it was long overdue, and it brings us up. Again, I was involved in 2009 when we wrote the first ordinance, and it was the beginning steps, and now we're at that time to evolve. And it really is, that housekeeping, cleaning up some missteps, I think, in the original language.
Correct.
And, again, I think it brings us into better times in relationship to having just good management
Absolutely.
for the sewer system.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Fran.
Do I just push this? I don't know, it might go too far down. We got you.
Just say when.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, ladies and gentlemen, staff. My name is Fran Saras, and I am one of your commissioners. And I'm glad to hear that you're having people, or restaurateurs, sign a paper or a form saying that where they dispose of oils. I was in the restaurant business for many years myself, and I know for a fact that a lot of the restaurants of their oils from their fryers properly. And I'm glad to see that, and I'm hoping that the new restaurant owners that do come into the city are abreast of what's happening as far as that goes. And I'm glad, I was going to bring up the flushables when I saw it, and I'm glad that hopefully that verbiage will change on the packaging, because that a lot of people don't believe that it's not true as far as not being flushable. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Do you want to do it? I'll move that we approve PH1 and introduce ordinance number 1066.
I'll second that.
You sure you're not the one who wants to make the vote? This is your deal.
I'm glad we're doing it. And it'll put us, again, straighten out some of the
let's vote.
language.
Passes unanimously. When I worked in a restaurant, we put it in a big can,
Yeah.
and we sold it.
Yeah, and
Do they still do
today, here, this is what's really interesting. They actually purchase that because it's used in cosmetics, lipstick, eyeliner. It's reclaimed, sprayed on alfalfa pellets, fed back to cattle. Super refined, shipped overseas, and sold as cooking oil in other countries. There's all sorts of end use. Burning cars.
We're recycling our cooking oil. That's disgusting.
For lipstick.
For lipstick. Oh, yeah. Interesting, huh?
Why do I find it okay to use it for lipstick, but not to recycle it as cooking oil?
Yeah, and it still hasn't met the code. Although I tell you what, I've seen stuff that has been reclaimed. There's several companies that are experts in it, and to taste it, to look at it from clarity, you could, if you had 2 bottles of liquid oil, you couldn't tell the difference. You could, not at all. But we still have some problems with some of the environmental issues about being able to sell it back. It's like that is potable water, reclaiming water. I feel more comfortable with it to reuse it, but some people don't.
For your lipstick?
No, I don't wear lipstick. You might ask Angela over here.
All right.
Pretty interesting, huh?
I shouldn't have asked.
But the value of that has gone up significantly. So if you said, because, there's actually grease thieves today where they'll steal it. If it's not locked down, I mean, I've got restaurants now that actually keep it inside in special containers. They don't put it outside. Add value to it.
Wow. Okay, new business item 1. Any speaker cards? Okay, we will hear from Jeff Campbell.
Good evening, Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, members of the council. I am pleased to inform you that the City of Lancaster has been awarded a $200,000 grant from to expand the trails of the Prime Desert Woodland Preserve. This grant does have a required 50% match, and with your approval, we would like to appropriate $200,000 from the Biological Impact Fund for that match. The awarded grant and the 50% match will be used to develop an additional 4,500 linear feet of walking trails within the 20 acres of land that the city purchased in 2017. With these additional trails, the Prime Desert Woodland will have nearly 4 miles of walkable trails on 123 acres. These new trails will provide a safer walking route to Nancy Corey Elementary, Raleigh Dunley Park, and Allen Valley College. The grant agreement from the state of California, and once we have that, we will finalize the receipt of the funds. We are currently working on the bid packet now with the intention of beginning construction early next year. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran.
Again, hello. I just was wondering, this and a couple of years ago, we also did this. Is this above the 200,000, which was already granted about, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, for the desert wetlands? Is this an added to what was proposed? I think it was about a year or two ago that it is added? He's saying yes. No.
This is different.
This is different. Okay. That's what I needed to know. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve NB1, A, B, and C.
Let's vote. And it passes unanimously. Any council reports?
Report that the fair was a success. We had, for the first time at the new fairgrounds, we ran out of parking space to put people. So the last Friday and Saturday of the fair, there was not enough space to park everyone that wanted to attend. So we have a couple problems that we need to correct as far as for parking. We're working on that. ABTA, we're working on getting more bus benches for the general public. Macy's doing a great job and saying they want bus benches, and we're doing it as fast as we can.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. No action on the Housing Authority, no action on financing, no action on Power Authority, no action on Successor Agency. City Manager, do you have any announcements?
Yes, a couple items. First, I had the honor of attending with Mayor Paris and awards the City of Lancaster, as well as our mayor won awards from the EPA and from CRS, which is an environmental service company, both acknowledging the efforts of our green energy. I don't know if you want to add any comments. The mayor was also a keynote speaker at the event and did a fabulous job representing our community. So it was an honor being there, and as for all those people that have been working on this project, it was a very proud moment for all of us to be awarded that. So thank you. I don't know if you have anything to add. We also started our LPAC season Saturday. It was the first show. As you go remodeled LPAC, so I want to thank staff, Jeff specifically and Rhonda. Jeff did the work, Rhonda did the design, so it wouldn't be a fortunate outcome if they switched that role. I mean, Yeah. So the design is fantastic if you haven't seen it. So when you go to LPAC next and the season has started, you will love the improvements. The skate park is under construction, anticipated to be done November. Owen Park Memorial is under construction as well and due to be done in November. And the Monte Vista neighborhood and the school area, which I know you guys were concerned about, has been paved. So a lot of that construction during that school year has been completed. There's a lot more work to be done, but at least we have some paved streets there to getting the school kids to school and the parents helping a better location. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? I don't have any questions. I was at the West Wind Elementary School yesterday and had a chance to talk to some of the teachers and the principal. And so, Rhonda, pay attention to this. So we talked about the program we had where we were sending food home for the weekends with the kids that were eating cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Saturday and Sunday. Apparent to me that is something we have to do district-wide. What I would like you to do, since you did this before, is put together a team from the staff, pick who you want from the council and from the commissions. I've asked the school district to put together a group, but within the next couple months, I don't want any children in this community not eating on the weekend. And tell me who we have to go to get the money to pay for it. What I don't want it to be based upon donations of food. I want it to be a consistent stream so that it's not something we do for 6 months and then it goes back to the way it was. I want it to be a program that's sustained, at least as long as we're here. Now, can we do that? See any problems with it? Okay. Terrific. Thank you. And you wanted to be on that?
I do. What I wanted to make sure, though, too, is if we could find a way to tie it back and reading, because the more kids that we have reading, they just do better in life, and I think that that's really important. So if we can find a way to incorporate the two, I think that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Why should I care? Okay. Okay, next council meeting, can we have a report? Good. And if you need a meeting with the county, I will be happy to facilitate. Okay, good. Tonight we have received a large number of speaker cards, much larger than we normally receive, from people who wish to address the City Council on items that are not on our agenda. With respect to public comments on non-agendized items, the City has adopted a policy that each person is usually given 3 minutes in which to make his or her comments. However, when we have a packed agenda, as we do tonight, and allowing everyone who provided a speaker card to speak for 3 minutes would prohibit the city from completing its meeting within a reasonable time period. The policy allows for 3-minute limit to be changed to limit each person's speaking time to 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. I know that there are a lot of passionate people here tonight who want me to apologize. Nonetheless, if you want to address this council about an important issue, and we are going to make sure that you have that opportunity. But we have to balance your right to address this council with everyone's right to address this council, while completing the council's business in an efficient and timely manner. Therefore, tonight, comments on non-agenda items will be limited to 1.5 minutes. City Clerk.
This is the time to address the City Council on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the City Council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the City Manager. Thank you.
David Paul, why don't you kick it off?
Mr. Mayor, may we have a moment for some technical work to get the 90-second timer set up? Thank you.
Oh, guess they're doing it in 1 minute increments. Huh? You want to do it 2 minutes?
Want to make it 2?
Yeah, let's make it 2 minutes. Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Although, Allison, that's really not rocket science.
I'm sure that it's not. It is, however, beyond my technical capabilities.
Okay, we're good. Okay, David, you got 2 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, good evening. It is an interesting evening, that is for sure. And something happened earlier in the day that kind of changed the perspective of all of this. And within my minute here, I just want to talk about us all getting along and the need to understand how complex it is to run a city like this, look out for everybody's interests, and work with a sheriff's department which is not under the total jurisdiction of the city. So we're trying to make changes and stuff. But, you know, I have felt the fact that this council cares about the citizens in our city, the people with mental illness and the people that are homeless. This is what got me. There is a guy running around. I think he calls himself the king of the gypsies. This guy looks like something out of Mad Max. He's a scary-looking character that is terrorizing the homeless and the mentally ill all over our city. And so I would hope that if you were a homeless person, you would want the sheriff's department to aggressively pursue this guy, because not only is he ruthless and vicious, he's dangerous and will hurt you. So we don't want city will find this guy and deal with him, but it's out of compassion for the greater good. And that's all I want everybody to remember. We have to live together, we have to work together, and I want us all to find ways to come together rather than tear each other apart. So thank you, and let's have some peace and love in this room.
Thank you, David. Joyce Q.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I live in the Antelope Valley, actually in Lancaster. I'm a homeless advocate, and I want to bring attention to our homeless crisis. From the LASA homeless count, this past year, homelessness in our youth has increased by 54%, in families by 64%, and in seniors by a staggering 93%. I'm asking everyone to join us in Shelter the Valley. We would like to have a bridge home in the city of Lancaster, a shelter that has mental health support and substance abuse support, because we cannot keep letting our homeless friends die in the desert. So I'd like everybody to be safe, and I'd like everybody to join us in supporting having a bridge home built. Thank you so much.
Before you sit down, what about Kensington? Is that a bridge home?
Well, Kensington, it takes money to get in. It has a.
No.
Well, it's not a free shelter.
Open yet? When does it open? When does it open?
Mayor?
Okay.
Kensington campus is the first set of residents will be moving in next month. We are excited about that, and the shelter part, which is the bridge piece, will be opening in December.
Okay, so we are.
So no, and I agree. Kensington is a wonderful step, but we're looking at how many beds are going to be open in? Did you say October or December?
So Kensington campus will permanently, supportively house 100 persons experiencing homelessness as permanent supportive housing, and it will, for bridge housing, provide 156 beds. So there will be a total of 256 persons who will be housed at Kensington campus.
But when will that happen?
So the first set of 50 permanent supportive housing units will be open in October.
Okay, that's great, but we have, 3,000 homeless people in the Antelope Valley or in Lancaster, so that's a great first step. I agree. I just would like us to do more.
Okay.
Fair
enough. Thank you. Are the beds still going empty that we have up and running now?
The shelter at IN 60th is full. However, some of the persons who were at the shelter have moved into permanent supportive housing or to interim housing, and so there are beds that become available. We also just received word that the county plans to keep IN 60th open for this winter shelter, so there will be an additional number of beds in the city of Lancaster.
Thank you. What about the shelter in Palmdale?
The shelter in Palmdale was for the 2019 winter shelter, or for the 2018 winter shelter season, and I don't know what's planned for the 2019, but we certainly can find out.
Okay, thank you. Roxy Patterson?
Greetings, everybody. I respect you all for being here and for the great job you're doing with our city and all the detailed work in all the departments. I'm a peace and love kind of. You can also call me a girl or non-binary, whatever you want to call me. You can call me old if you want, because I've had a lot of experiences. I've been blessed to always been in a house. Sometimes it was an apartment, sometimes it was a shack down by the railroad track. But I was lucky enough to be blessed through my parents to live in a house and then to provide my own house up to now. I've also had some mental health issues during that time. They were temporary. Some would say they're permanent because I act a little weird every now and then. But I just would like everybody to take a moment to breathe and think about the people that aren't quite like you, that might have had a problem in their journey of life through a misfortunate situation. I think we need a little more compassion in life, definitely more compassion in our government at all levels, because there's things that are happening to human beings that we are not proud of. I'm not proud of. I want to be proud of my city. I want my city to show a little more compassion to all people. And I know there's some of the base that we call it, the need to also make happy, but we have everybody that works for a living, that doesn't work for a living, all kinds of people that want to be able to help these people that need a help. There's something I work with called the Friendship Bridge. It's with Guatemalan women, but we call it a hand up instead of a hand out. It would be nice to get to that point where we can do more handing out and less just or giving a hand up instead of giving a hand out. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxy. Michael Reeves?
Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have enough time to read my prepared remarks that I prepared tonight. But the essence of it is I attended the last AVTA meeting, and I was called up to the podium by the vice mayor of Lancaster and sworn at because of a letter I had written in the paper, and this occurred in front of the councilwoman and a member of the board. At the same meeting, I again got up and spoke about the bus benches, need for bus benches. I've done this for months, asking about the bus benches. I've talked about it. I've sent him emails. Nothing got done. In the meantime, as I traveled on the buses throughout the city, I saw people sitting on the curbs. I saw people sitting on the sides of shopping carts. And you can excuse me for being frustrated. I remember when I brought this up before the Lancaster City Council years ago, the councilwoman listened to me and she had shelters. We don't expect shelters. We would like bus benches. That's all. I mean, it's horrendous when you have an 80-year-old woman, mother of 5 children, cannot take a senior center because she has nothing to sit on and she can't stand there and hold on to a pole in the heat and wind of Courts Hill. That's for example. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to sit on a curb and get run over by a bus. So therefore, Vice Mayor Chris, you're calling me out during the meeting by my name was uncalled for. You do not treat a citizen of this city that way. Therefore, I'm asking the council to remove you from the AVTA board. Thank you.
Do you mind if I respond?
Of course, anybody can respond.
Actually, I was at that meeting, as you stated earlier. That's actually one of the only things that you actually got correct when you just stood up here. The vice mayor did not swear at you during that meeting. In fact, you threatened the board. That is exactly what happened. So I just wanted to make sure that we're clear out there in the audience for the people that were not able to actually attend that meeting.
Michael, I try to be an example to the council of kindness and gentleness, and they just don't pick up on it. Sometimes he even swears at the mayor. Not very often. Deborah Rogers.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Deborah Rogers, citizen at large. I just want to give you some statistics on mental illness and homelessness. Adults is touched by mental illness in some time in their life, some permanent, some temporary. 1 in 7 children are diagnosed as mentally ill at some time in their life. Only 4% nationwide of the crimes committed, violent crimes committed, only 4% are done by the mentally ill. The other 96% are done by people who are considered well. A mentally ill person is 57% more likely to become a victim of a violent crime than any other citizen. The highest demographic of homelessness in this nation currently is senior citizens, as they are being moved out of their own homes by unaffordable rents, unaffordable homeowners insurance and things of that nature. So more and more senior citizens are becoming homeless. I'd like to say that I was one of the homeless for over 20 years. I am one of the mentally ill. And I've become permanently disabled as a result of medication given to me. I'm working towards changing my life. I live in a house. We are not dangerous people.
Thank you. Cynthia Carter.
Hi, Mayor, council members.
Okay.
My name is Cynthia Carter. I'm with the Antelope Valley ACLU Criminal Justice Reform Chair, and I'll make this quick because I do have a prepared statement. And this comments over the recent hoax shooting. The mayor's comments of the hoax shooting was an embarrassment. The mayor of Lancaster made things worse by claiming that the apartment complex where the deputy said the fake gunshot came from is dangerous, not because the shooter was supposedly in the building, because people with mental health conditions lived there. This claim is baseless. Research shows that having a mental health issue does not make a person dangerous. In fact, people without serious mental health conditions commit the vast majority of all violent acts. Far from being a public safety hazard, the apartment complex over there that the mayor described, permanent and service-rich home. It gets people with disabilities who are unhoused, that's the new term, off the streets, where they are high risk of victimizations. In other words, it helps keep the community safe. The mayor should apologize to the public for spreading disinformation about people with mental health conditions. He should make a direct apology to the apartment complex residents he insulted with his irresponsible claims. If he really cares about public safety, he should commit city funding to develop more affordable housing to end homelessness so that every Lancaster resident has a safe place to call home. And moving forward, he should get his facts straight before he speaks and treats all community members with the dignity and respect. The myth of dangerousness. While people with mental health issues are often blamed for violence, the belief that they are dangerous is a myth. People with mental health conditions account for the very small fractions of crimes in this city and are much more likely to be victims of violent acts than to commit them. Being unhoused increases risks of victimization even more because people living on the street lack the protection Permanent affordable housing with social services, commonly known as permanent supportive housing, brings people with mental illness off the streets and protects them from victimization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran, you up for this? Come on up.
Hello again. Fran Sarah speaking. Can you hear me? I hope you can. I just want to say, as a citizen of Lancaster, I'm very proud to be a citizen. Proud of what our city council does for us. I have a little problem. Well, it was brought to my attention over the weekend. The residents at Arbor Gardens, they're getting extraordinary high raises on their rent. And they're all seniors, and they're all basically on Social Security, and their income, and the increase is 33% and above, and there's no way there. They're going to end up being in our homeless situation. I went to the senior council, the supervisor meeting this morning. I know some people are going to like this and some people won't, but they agreed and they voted on rent control and stabilization, and the rent control being from maybe 3 to 8%, but that's negotiable. They're negotiable, paying 35 or 40 or above, even 50% more on their rents. I just want to bring this up because they brought it up to me, and I think they've spoken to somebody here in the City Hall. And so when I went down to the supervisor meeting this morning, I was very gratified that all our supervisors voted to have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran. Casey Adams.
Good evening, Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Christ.
Good evening.
Council members. I'm just here for potholes. That's it. Someone suggested I should come here today to check this out, and so I'm here. My car is getting repeatedly damaged. I have aftermarket wheels in my car. I hit a pothole, 2 potholes, yesterday on 20th West and J12, adjacent to the post office there. West Park Villas, there's a Harley-Davidson there. And so I came over to City Hall. They gave me a piece of paper to fill out, asked me to come back and bring my photos. Someone suggested yesterday I come here, so I'm here. So I go back and take more photos of the potholes, which 3 of them got fixed, but 20 feet east of those major potholes are not fixed. I took photos of that pothole. It doesn't make any sense why those potholes got fixed and one that's even bigger than those didn't get fixed. And that's going all over in town. I was born here in 1972. I'm a 3rd generation person. Adams, that's my last name. And my daughter was born here. My daughter's mother was born here. So I've been here since 72. I'm going to be 50 soon, just a couple years. I'm getting sick and tired of hitting these big potholes. I know that sounds it's minute compared to everything else that's going on, but it's actually major to me because my tax-paying dollars go back into the city. That's what I'm here for. That's it.
Jeff, give us an update on where we are on fixing all the potholes.
Well, we got a couple efforts going on. One is the council put together a $50 million bond to focus on our roads. Pretty much 90% of the center of the city redone as far as roads. As far as potholes, we do have a crew out there every day taking care of the potholes. We're actually in the next week or two, we're going to have 2 or 3 crews go out there and do all hands on deck and look at all the roads. And I wrote down the areas that you have, so we'll make sure we concentrate on that. Because it's just an ongoing effort to take care of the potholes. I hear you when you say that they took care of these, but they didn't take care of these. But these end up down here, and you just keep chasing.
Right.
So we're doing our best with the crews that we got, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks we're going to and spend the whole week on getting the ones that we hear about.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
I would add
Where are we on those neighborhood programs where we're doing the neighborhood streets also?
That's what Jeff is referring to as part of that strategy. You'll see when I referred to Monte Vista neighborhood, that's an example of that, and the money that Jeff refers to is going to be throughout the communities. Neighborhoods are included in that as well.
Right.
I also want to make a note that there's an app that the city has, so if you do find a pothole, you take a picture of that pothole with the app, it'll submit to our staff to be able to identify that and move forward on that. Sometimes we get victim of this. We get some faulty directions and locations and stuff. So sometimes if you have that app, it's a better source to do that. So we have a picture of the pothole, we have a location, and we get out there on it.
So Casey, we'll make sure in the next publication that we publish that app. And again, you missed, the timing's bad. I mean, you have a problem with the car. But again, like Jeff already mentioned, we just, I don't know, it was 2 months back, we took action. And I think, what's the square mileage that we're going to touch with that 56? Do you know off the top of your head,
The
Jeff?
city's 94 square miles, and the center city, I'm sure, is 20, 25 square miles center of the city.
So get ready for us to aggressively treat all the streets within the core part of the city. And that's only one bucket of money. We also have all the interchanges, because I know that's a big issue for people as well.
Yeah.
Whether you're exiting off Avenue K, all the intersections from Avenue M to D are going to get a complete changeover, so for us to be able to address the traffic that both coming off of the freeway as well as getting on the freeway. So
just real quick, that on-ramp, it's like 16th Street West and Avenue K that takes you to go back south on the 14.
Right.
That's been a mess. My car's got to be getting damaged from that, but multiple cars have to be getting damaged from that, because I've called on that multiple times. Potholes get fixed fairly quickly, the major ones at least. That one it's a bunch of divots and little potholes, but it does major damage over time.
All right.
I just wondered how come that hasn't been addressed yet.
Is that because it's a jurisdiction, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be because it's Caltrans.
Okay.
So we'll take a look at that, though. It's a little more difficult to get those taken care of, but we'll go look at them and see if we can take our 16th and K.
Okay, and then as far as getting my car, because it was damaged for sure yesterday, do I just
Allison,
continue
fix
with
his
the
car.
paperwork?
Fix his car.
Anyways,
Sir, if you submit a claim, we'll take
Gotcha.
a look at it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cam Kefar?
Hi, I'll only talk about maybe 10 seconds. I would just like to know if the next City Council meeting you could update us on the Medical Main Street project, because I haven't heard anything lately.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be happy to. Ruth Sanchez?
Good evening, council members, Mayor. My name is Ruth, and I'm the president of the ACLU Antelope Valley chapter. And I just want to go ahead and continue reading our prepared statement. It is a public health and safety intervention that ends homelessness, and it keeps our community safe. Elected officials should support efforts to develop more permanent supportive housing to end homelessness. They should recognize that recipient of people mental health issue as violent. It is not only wrong, but is also unfairly mental illnesses, and they should never falsely describe permanent supportive housing as a public safety hazard. Mayor, you have a history of making false and disintegrating comments about people experiencing homelessness. Responding to a pursuit to an upstate of 2019 homeless count, you called on house people criminals, encouraged house people to arm themselves, and stated that when they robbed somebody, somebody.
Think that people ought to get shot when they rob somebody?
Can we stop the clock, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Ruth,
Go ahead.
how long have we known each other?
We've known each other a long time, Mayor Paris, and that's the reason.
I thought we were friends, are we?
Well, friendship has nothing to do with what is going on.
I understand some people out there think friendship is something to laugh at.
I don't.
Right?
I don't, Mayor, and that's why it is hard for me to stand here and having to hear a lot of your comments. It makes it difficult for me. I've been out in the street helping, trying to do my community. But I do know that there's something that needs to be done, and I'm not okay with those comments.
Okay.
I'm not okay with the comments. So if we are friends, I have to be able to be honest with you. My loyalty is to the community, regardless of what friendship.
Ruth, whoever is out there yelling, I want them removed the next time they yell. I will be totally respectful to the people who are talking to me from the podium, but I expect people to act like adults, all right?
And I understand, and I appreciate that.
But Ruth, you know for a fact that I think that if people are robbing somebody ought to shoot them. I didn't misspeak. That's what I believe, right?
So for instance, if Vice Mayor breaks into my house, would you be happy if I shoot him?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that everybody who lives in this community should be absolutely safe in their home.
I agree with you on that.
And if anybody crosses that threshold and attempts to do them harm, please shoot them. In fact, next council meeting, I plan on giving somebody an award for doing precisely that. Okay?
Okay, but can we also agree that the homeless population, that's their home? So that is their home wherever they're living. That is their little area. How can it not be?
No, because we'll talk later. Go ahead, finish your speech, okay?
I would love to schedule a meeting with you after for that. Anyways, as I was stating, in 2019 homeless count, and what your statement to go ahead and shoot somebody, homeless further and further into the remote of the desert. It is very hard to reach out to them. Miles from water, and they get stranded on multiple digits heat. It's called public, and you say it's public health at risk. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and continue reading all of this because I'm going to address you right now, and I'm going to tell you, I've been there. I have videos showing that all that stuff that is there, mail and everything, is not the homeless. They do not replace pianos in their little tents. They do not replace couches. That it belongs to the community. Who goes and dumps there? I have no idea who does that. However, I did find a lot of mail that belongs to a person. I sent that information out. Nothing was done. We've been going there. I myself have been going to the desert. I see a lot of dumping. That dumping is not by the homeless. So let's be real. They do not make this mess that is being done, that is out in the desert. Us pushing them 5 miles in just so they can be into somebody else's problem is not humane. It makes it hard for me to reach out to them and give them necessities such as water. They don't have that. You all are capable of just reaching over and grabbing the bottle of water. Mayor Rex, you have helped me when we did the march. You made it possible so that we can have water for all those people marching onto the park. So I'm asking you once again, them in. Quit red tagging them. We have a gentleman that was bulldozed with him inside. We have the statement. You guys bulldozed his tent and he was inside. That is not safe. That is not right. Those are some of the things that shouldn't be done. I have a gentleman.
Okay, Ruth, you're out of time. I appreciate what you're saying. Do you know anything about that?
We can look into it. We do regular cleanups of ditches and things of that nature. I don't know specifically that one, but we can look into it.
Well, I want to know if somebody was bulldozed. All right?
If there's somebody bulldozed in the tent, I'll find out and let you know.
Okay,
I'll be more than happy to share who that person is.
Okay. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa and Vera? Okay. Hi.
So good evening. I am aware of the Kensington Project, but it is not enough. As a community, we need to look for broader solutions to the unhoused crisis. Shelters are one starting option that Shelter the Valley is supporting. Our weather in the AV makes indoor sheltering options especially critical. Our hot summers and cold winters are rough on folks forced to live outdoors. Instead of demonizing our fellow humans, actual solutions are needed. We must provide for everyone in our community, no matter their backgrounds. We, as a community, have an obligation to provide for basic human rights such as shelter. Homelessness throughout LA County is going up, not just in the AV. In the AV alone, 64% more youth and 93% more seniors are unsheltered. These people are most vulnerable, losing their housing from higher rent, joblessness, and disabilities. Where there is a will, there is a way. We all have a responsibility to act. County, city, citizens, please support shelter for all as a human right.
Thank you. You know, let's be absolutely clear. Tomorrow, I can pick up the phone and have 1,000 low-income houses. Tomorrow. That's not the city I want to live in. That's not the city you want to live in. Because they're not going to give any money to support those people. They're not going to give any money for social services for those people. But LA would like nothing better than to move their homeless problem into Lancaster. If that's the city you want, then you should work towards that. Because this council will not give it to you. Make no mistake about that. This council believes we should take care of the homeless who are from Lancaster, who have been in Lancaster for a period of time. We are not here to... And I'm sorry people don't like that, and I'm sorry people want to call me heartless for thinking that. But that's the way it is.
Why don't you sue the city of Los Angeles for doing
that? Anita Molina?
Sue the city of Los Angeles for dumping their homeless out.
My name is Anita, and I'm an advocate for the homeless. And I am here to bring attention to our homeless crisis. Just in the last year, homelessness increased by 54%, families by 64%, and senior homelessness went up by a staggering 93%. We can't let our homeless brothers and sisters die in the desert. We need to fight for them. Mr. Paris, as a Christian, help us open up a bridge shelter with mental health and substance abuse treatment services to help our homeless brothers and sisters heal and be safe. And I know you talk about Kensington, but Kensington is not a shelter for homeless people. You need to have a voucher to stay in Kensington. A homeless does not qualify, cannot walk in. From what our understanding, you have 93 beds available at Salvation Army. Those 93 beds are being used every single night. We know because LASA and everybody else is trying to get in, and they can't get in. And Kensington is just, I get it, it's helping, but it's not solving the problem because it's not going to help people who are not qualifying to be in there. Because Kensington is screening their own people to live there.
Toy, I want to give it to you in a minute. You know, I appreciate your figures, but the homelessness in Lancaster has gone up 3%. 3%. Where everyone else has gone up at an extraordinary rate. And the reason for that, we think, is because even when you're homeless in Lancaster, we expect you to follow the law, and we enforce the law. And so as a result, we're not getting the influx that we were getting. Now, we could be wrong about that. But I just want it very clear. I want to do everything we possibly can for people from Lancaster. But we are not going to stretch our resources to the breaking point for people who... The fact of the matter is we do have thousands of kids that don't eat on the weekend. I think that our resources are better spent on our own kids than on other people's homeless adult population. And I wish I had all the money in the world that I didn't have to make those choices. But think for a second.
But as a Christian, we don't pick and choose. We treat everybody the same.
This Christian takes care of the kids first.
You know,
that's
and those numbers are
all
from
there is to it.
It is from Lancaster or Antelope Valley numbers.
That's not what the county tells me.
Those are LAHSA numbers.
I'm just telling you what they tell us, that our homelessness in Lancaster has gone up 3% in the last year, where everybody else has gone up at a much greater level. You know, the other problem I have with all of this is we have a labor shortage in Lancaster. I mean, a real labor shortage. If you want a job in Lancaster, you can get one. You know, now, admittedly, a lot of people can't because of criminal records. But let's be honest, 3/4 of the homeless population have criminal records. Now, I'm not saying why or if they should or how that happened, but those are the statistics from Los Angeles. Why do we have this huge increase in homelessness when we have a labor shortage? It's because they closed the jails. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. I'm just not as sympathetic to you, to those people, as I am to children who don't eat on the weekend. That's just the way it is. I wish I could tell you a different story, but if I did, I would be lying to you. Our elected officials do. They tell you what you want to hear, and the homeless population increases. I mean, sorry, I don't know what to do about that perception. You know, I do have an absolute belief that we do not want nonprofit agencies importing mentally ill people for us to take care of. And I have no doubt that's happening because we get the calls in our office. We just got one where a 30-year-old who is mentally ill that seems to think it's okay to use their social media to do what they do, brought him up here, telling him he had a place to live, and gave him a voucher. Next thing you know, he spits on a police officer, and he's in county jail for months. You know.
But how different are we being when you see the intake to Salvation Army? It's asking you if you want to relocate in any other part of LA. It's asking you if you want to go to San Gabriel, Almani. It's asking you, that's part of the Salvation Army application when you take somebody in. So how different are we?
I didn't know that we were doing that, and I didn't know that they were actually relocating.
It's on there.
Okay, Toy.
I'm not LAHSA, so I'm not familiar with their intake process. But one of the things that has become very clear is that there's a lot of inaccurate information regarding Kensington. And so I make myself available after the meeting and in the future to clear up some of the Kensington inaccuracies, because Kensington campus, it will be responsive to a lot of the things that the community is asking for. It's a holistic approach. It deals with not what we've seen in the past, because that was the direction that we were given. And it absolutely does have interim shelter, bridge housing, whatever we want to call it. There are 156 beds that are similar to what the Salvation Army is today that will be available as well at Kensington campus.
Thank you. Catherine Parrish.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening to the council. My suggestion is about the homeless situation is, instead of spending the money to hide these people and pushing them out further out in town, we should take that money and we should come up with an idea on how we could best help them, because it is going to get cold in a couple of weeks. And I'm not kidding you. This is so vitally serious. This is to be grateful for. We have a roof over our head. We have a warm home to go to. But these people, Mayor, they don't have that. They don't have anybody to love them. They don't have anybody. We need to have a team that can go out to the streets, consist of a paramedic, an RN, maybe a mental health technician, and have that team, just like they do in Boston, Massachusetts. They have that to try because what you guys have been doing ain't working. It's not working for you, man. You need to look at something else, because you need to look at this and take our suggestions, because this is so serious. I don't want those people sleeping on the gutter.
Wait a minute. I like your suggestion as to the paramedic or the nurse and taking the health services to them. Where are we on that? Wasn't the fire department working on a unit that actually took care of it, took care of the location?
But Mayor Parris...
Oh, wait a minute. You asked for it. Let's find out where it's at. I mean, I agree. I think that if they're here, I mean, as much as I don't want them to come here, if they're here and they have an emergent situation, I do want to take care of it. And I love the idea of going to them instead of clogging the emergency rooms while people wait for 10 hours to be seen. And we were working on that, weren't we?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. LA County Fire Department is looking into it, but we just got information today before I put the cart, so to say, in front of the horse. We're working on this for the next couple of days. We're looking at rolling out a program, hopefully within the next couple of months, in the Lancaster AV area and the Valley area. So I'll report more to you when I have something, without saying or promising you something that, but there is something coming to the AV here from the fire department here very quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony James.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony James, and I'm speaking because I am a homeless individual man, 52-year-old man. And Antelope Valley, Lancaster area do have a bad thing with homelessness. And I feel that we do need help. Such in my situation, I became homeless due to my brother passing away. And that's why I'm homeless. And because I have no good credit, first of all, and that's a fault. And on top of that, I'm homeless. That's another fault for a lot of us. I'm here just for all the homeless people. We need help. If there's any way that you guys can help us, please do. And I'm speaking for me and all the homeless folks, because there's literally millions of us around this world, and we need help. And that's all I'm just coming to you with my heart, to all of you. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Did I give that to you? No, that was him. Okay. Curtis Wilson.
Hi, good evening, council persons. My name is Curtis Wilson. I've lived in Antelope Valley since 1999, and so years, and I've always seen you guys on television and wanted to come here and enjoy this, and I happen to come here on other business, and so here I am. So I don't have any prepared remarks, but I wanted to just share my feelings about the homeless situation, let you know that 30 years ago, I was a homeless college student up in Sacramento, California. I had won a scholarship that included tuition, but it didn't cover my housing. So for 6 months, I slept upright in the front seat. And it was my first car. And I used to wake up every morning with the windshield iced up. And I'd wipe it off and then find the nearest fast food restaurant. I'd go into the bathroom, wash up best I could in the sink. And then I would spend the day looking for a job. And then at night I'd go to school at the vocational college that I went to. And every day for those 6 months, I told myself that if I got out of that situation, I just knew because I was getting education, things would get better. So that's what kept me going. And then things did get better, and I told myself I would never forget that. And got better. I gave a homeless person that I met once $100, and I told him, no matter how bad things get, keep yourself cleaned up. Keep a razor, keep yourself shaven, keep looking for a job. And I met him a year later at a nightclub. He became a bouncer and was making good money at a nightclub. So I know that sometimes being homeless just means you hit bottom and you just need an opportunity to get back on your feet. Okay? So today, boom.
You're okay.
I'm a student at Alabama.
Okay.
I'm a realtor. And I own some land. And I know that all this land we have out here in Lancaster, there's got to be some way we can build something, tiny homes with a victory garden, and get some type of funding and incorporate that with another employer by BYD. Get another employer that's can do some good wages, but not high skilled labor, just something, and get them working, and something that's not a drain on the community, but is self-sustaining. So I'd like to come to you sometime, to your office, and share some ideas. So that's all. Thank you.
See Evelyn before you leave. She'll contact you. All right? We should probably continue this. All right? Trinita Jackson.
Thank you for letting me speak this evening. My name is Trinita Jackson. I'm part of the AV Antelope Valley chapter. Basically, I'm just want to speak out of my heart, just on behalf of the homeless and those with mental illness, and just my question would, not so much of a question, but yeah, I guess I would say question, is right now the ACLU, we support right now about 50 children that are actually homeless in this area, and what kind of resources could you help with to maybe help us to help them get on a better path or in a better way, and because we've been giving them food and toys and things of that nature. And also you mentioned about basically using the resources to help the homeless here that's not part of this area. What, instead of kind of leaving them hanging, what kind of resources could be helpful to getting them, maybe, as been said, to getting them back on their feet to where they came from, so they can hopefully, get the help and resources that they need. So that would just kind of be what my questions are, concerns are, and just, again, not treating them like they're nobodies, because they really are just people going through hard times and just need to know that somebody care and that's willing to help.
I'm concerned about the 50 children you're talking about.
Yeah.
What are the age groups?
They're all under 15.
Yeah, 15 teenagers.
The oldest one is 15 years old. And they do live here in Lancaster. They go to school here in Lancaster, but they are homeless. They do not have a home. So
why aren't we targeting that?
If you were to ask me where our focus should be, I would. Currently, our families do not have a shelter. Motels along Sierra Highway are the only location, and so that's kind of been what the discussion with the county and LAHSA has been, is trying to focus on shelters, interim housing to permanent housing for families. Right now, it is very focused on individuals.
Kensington doesn't deal with that problem.
Kensington doesn't, and there's just complexities, as you can imagine, that occur when you include children with individuals, and the dynamics. Family needs are very different than individual needs.
Are these considered part of the hidden homeless? Because that's a problem that we're having with LAHSA, that they no longer count our hidden homeless, which are kids sleeping on couches, kids sleeping in cars, kids sleeping in holes in the desert. They don't count our hidden homeless. So even though our homeless count goes up a small amount, we understand there's a lot more homeless here than are being accounted for, or we're getting. But I think everyone needs to remember that We did a proposition 2 years ago, a Proposition A, that failed by 67%, where the city council was trying to build new facilities for the homeless. 67% of the people that voted said no. Okay, find some other way. So what we did is we're still actively targeting LASA to get us some more money. We're targeting places like Kensington to help, so we went and got money from the county to do that. Still doing the best we can as a council, and we understand it's not good enough. But we understand that, or at least I would hope that you would understand, we're trying. It's not that we have forgotten everybody that's out there. We have tried. 2-3 years ago, 67% of the voters said, no, we do not want to build a homeless shelter here. Okay? So we built one of a different kind with someone else's money. So we've done other things. We have facilities that are working throughout the valley. We have which we helped put together. We have the fairgrounds, which we helped put together as the city council. Okay? We have the churches. Okay? All of the churches were taking turns bringing all these people in, and there were liability problems with the churches housing people because of the sprinkler systems. So that had to stop. But then we brought in Kensington. So it's not like we're not doing anything. It's not like we've forgotten the homeless. It's not like it hasn't been on the forefront of our community agenda for years. Okay? But we have to take a different approach. And most of you would be in here yelling at us if 67% of the voters said, no, we don't want it, and we did it anyway. So we have to have a balance. We have to have that balance, and we're still doing it throughout the community, having our churches help us, having everything do it. This is a great community when you look at it as a whole, when you look at it, what we're trying to accomplish. When you look at what we're trying to accomplish and what we have accomplished with the money that we have to do it, I think we have a great city council that's still trying to help the homeless. And I'll be the first one to say it's still not good enough.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said, but I also don't think that most of the people here have been anything but respectful. A couple of you are, you're always going to have a few jerks in the room, but the vast bulk of the people here have been very respectful, and I appreciate that. And I mean, sometimes we just disagree.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm more concerned about a model that seems to work for the homeless families. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's where the emphasis should be. I mean, as bad as it is for adults to be homeless, it's worse for children. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely.
Okay. And, one of the things we've been talking about, Chris Johnson was here, was I actually wanted to get a town hall meeting with not too many people, but enough people that are engaged, that we could actually figure out just what of the city, and that's what we follow. Right now it's, you all come and yell at me, and then I set the policy that with the support of the council, which I really am not comfortable with. I mean, I don't know that I have the right answers on it, but what I want to do is create a thriving city where the children get taken care of first.
Yeah,
Fair enough?
That's important. Thank you.
Okay.
So Mayor, may I speak? I'm sitting here with a lot of frustration, and hopefully you heard that in Marvin's voice. I'm amazed at the people that showed up here tonight, and then you speak outright like as if the council historically hasn't been compassionate. Marvin and I just want to speak. Everybody's got a chance to speak. Now I'm going to speak from my position. Marvin and I met with the churches, with the county, multiple meetings. I lost count. Marvin and I spent $12,500 of our own money between him and I, because we get tasked by the mayor to say, you guys got to help take care of this problem. So we raised the money to put this on the ballot. So what I'm amazed at is 3 years ago, I would have loved to have everybody's compassion in this room for the homeless to maybe help us when we put that initiative on the ballot to be convincing, so that maybe we could have found a quicker, sooner, faster solution. But what I can't handle is somebody coming in here and somehow making a judgment call to think that there's 4 of us, 5 of us normally. Raj is not here tonight. He has issues. He's got, unfortunately, had a unfortunate situation take place in his family. Otherwise, he would be here, and I'd be speaking on his behalf as well. But the last thing you need to do is come in here and make some knowing the history of what this group has done. How I got here, what I believe, what got me here to this council, I've got a history of raising millions of dollars since the late 80s. You can check my record about being compassionate to people here in the community. And I think that's what helped got me elected to the city council, because I'm typically a doer. But it's really frustrating for me. I rarely speak out. It's so frustrating for people to show up and make these comments, and they're all coming from, I really don't know the background of this council. And anytime you want to check my record, anytime you want to check the vice mayor's record, the mayor's record, the city council person to my left, Angela, trust me, we're engaged. And this is not unique just to the city of Lancaster. We understand homeless is a big problem nationally. And I suspect with all of our we'll get on a correct pathway. I don't know if it's going to be the answer, but I think at this stage in the game, it will be close to one of the best answers. But please, before you come in here and you speak in regards to the fact that we're not interested or we're somehow not compassionate, I think you really need to go back and do a little bit more homework. And I'll challenge anybody, whether it's time, because it's real easy to come to a city council meeting and speak out, but time, I'll put in this room. And I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you that's what I have done for probably the last 35 to 40 years. Mentally disabled. I sit on Desert Haven's board for darn near close to 20 years and helped that group. And I'm proud of it, but again, I want you to understand we're all engaged. We're all listening. And I suspect we'll continue on our focus just like the mayor has said. So I just had to get that. I just had to speak up. It's just very frustrating for me. So for letting me speak.
Okay, you done?
I'm done.
Okay, thanks. Perry, hey, how are you, Perry?
Good evening, Your Honor, council members.
How is that place, by the way? Crunch.
Oh, actually, I joined it, just haven't actually made it in yet. Just too busy. But I came here, I just wanted to personally thank you when I of the motels that the families are staying with on Sierra, and immediately, Toy, I want to thank you, city manager, because almost immediately the inspectors were calling me and letting me know that they were on the job, and they called me before, during, and after and let me know that they did the inspection, they did find numerous violations, and they were fine. And I just wanted to thank you for jumping on it, for everybody being on the ball. And I only hope that the situation stays okay, because, like I said to begin with, if no matter of time, and then they'll fall back into the same way. But in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Luker.
Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to talk about Mayor Paris's lack of apology for his comments of unrepentance that he made after lying about the sheriff's injury from the imaginary sniper in the solo press conference, then wrongly blaming the adjacent mental health center without cause. But who might have championed such a facility in the first place? Was raised to discuss background. Let's please discuss background. May 2009, a press release from the City of Lancaster's website. Mental Health America of Los Angeles will host the grand opening celebration of its new Antelope Valley facility. The Antelope Valley MHA provides a rehabilitative program as well as adjacent housing, offering enrichment services which promote mental wellness. MHA is instrumental in helping people cope with daily life and the challenges it brings. Quote, as part of the Lancaster Downtown Revitalization Project, this facility is an example of the projects we want to incorporate into our community. That improve their quality of life are essential to the growth of Lancaster, commented Lancaster Mayor, spelled M-A-Y-E-R, R. Rex Paris. The City of Lancaster provided the land for this project for $1. The city also found a developer for the project and provided $500,000 of home funds towards its completion. What changed? Based on everything we've heard here tonight, clearly the pipes aren't the only thing Rex is messing up around here. Thank you for your time.
Well, one thing, I learned to spell better. George, come on up.
Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, council members, ladies and gentlemen. Now you know why I don't want no part of your offices. Okay? You mentioned churches. Okay? I've attended the Baptist church out on 40th East. They claimed they were helping the homeless and the hungry by supporting cash going to the Grace Resource Center on Sarah Highway. I go to Grace Resource Center. They haven't heard nothing in 4 years from the Baptist church, money-wise or food-wise. So you're kind of off beat with the church is supposedly helping with the homeless. I've noticed several homeless locations with cars parked in them. Well, if they got cars, they better have insurance. Okay, that means they have transportation to use public facilities. They're open in Walmart, they can use them. Not raw sewage out in our deserts. We're going to end up with a rat infestation similar to LA. And I agree with you 100%. Anybody breaks into my house and I'm there, mental health or straight, they will not be going out walking. You have my support 100%. Now back to the streets. Lancaster Boulevard has a new roundabout at 15th. Whoever did the pavement heading east on Lancaster Boulevard, it's very rough, and that's supposed to be a new surface. I don't know who you have for inspectors. They're not doing their job. I'm a retired inspector. I will gladly volunteer my time to inspect these things. No problem at all. Another thing, is there any way I can do 1 or 2 times a month, volunteer with a city truck where there's no people? I'm talking about the dumping that the lady commented on. I'll volunteer for it, no problem at all. Just let me have a truck or a trailer. Okay? I'll sign a liability thing where you won't get no lawsuit against me, against the city. I just want to help out. Thank you.
Thank you, George. I don't know why we don't have a volunteer program. We do?
Yeah, I mean, we would allow people to volunteer, absolutely, on a number of different items. Obviously, there's training and safety issues, but absolutely.
So take them up on it.
We'll put them to work.
Good. Okay, thank you. That concludes the speaker cards. City Clerk, any announcements? Oh, we already did that, right? I guess we're done. No executive session, no. Well, great. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 24 at 2019 at 5 p.m. Carol, I'm coming home.